How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to the Shameless Watch Collector. So we've got a different type of video today. It's the first video in a new series we're going to call Let's Talk. These videos are going to be open forums where I ask you guys questions, and you can feel free to answer them in the comments. One of my favorite parts about this channel growing so quickly is the amazing group of watch enthusiasts we're building, and the great conversations we get to have together. So let's take advantage of that. Let's talk smartwatches. And let me tell you about the experience I just had with my first smartwatch. Let's get into it. So a bit of story time before we get into the questions I have for all of you. Let me tell you what started this whole smartwatch video idea for me, and how I recently acquired my first smartwatch. About a month ago, I got an email from a company called Runmefit asking if I wanted a review copy of their new GTR3 smartwatch. As someone who knows nothing about smartwatches and had zero interest in owning one, initially, I was just going to say no thank you. But the more I thought about it, the more I figured it wouldn't hurt to be honest with Runmefit and tell them, sure, I'll take the watch, but I don't know enough about smartwatches to really review it. I mostly just want to wear it for a few weeks and talk to my audience about it, and whether or not it makes sense for someone like me, and someone who collects what I guess we can call classic watches. And Runmefit loved that idea. So props to them for being open to this video and confident enough in their product to still send it over. And just a few days later, this long, thin box was delivered to my front door, and I officially owned my first smartwatch. So as I show you guys some unboxing footage, here's my first question. Do you own a smartwatch? If so, when did you get your first one? Let me know in the comments. You guys have already heard most of my answer on that one, but I'll give you a little more context, because I actually do have an interesting past with smartwatches. I actually worked as a specialist, basically a salesperson, at Apple when the Apple Watch was released. And I worked the overnight shift to set up the store for launch. So I saw it and got my hands on one about 12 hours before they hit the sales floor for the first time ever. I definitely wasn't the watch-obsessed person back then that I am now, but I remember knowing enough about watches to not understand why this thing existed at all. If you had told me back then that smartwatches would be as big as they are today, I would not have believed you. Some of you may not remember this back in 2014 when the Apple Watch was announced, but it was positioned way more as a luxury fashion accessory instead of the health and fitness product that it's presented as now. The first physical ad for the Apple Watch was actually in Vogue magazine. I still distinctly remember my jaw hitting the floor when Apple started talking about their 18-karat yellow or rose gold first generation Apple Watch, with a price tag that ranged from, and brace yourself for this one, $10,000 to $17,000 in 2015. Granted, the Sport started around $349 and the stainless steel version at around $549, but that right there shows just how much Apple initially wanted to be viewed as a luxury fashion accessory. And in my opinion, if they hadn't quickly shifted the focus to health and fitness, there is zero chance smartwatches would be as popular as they are today. Not even close. And I think that whole thing says even more about how much these are not fashion accessories than it does about all the cool health and fitness stuff they can do. Because here's the thing, I sure as hell can't afford it, but I understand why a Rolex costs $17,000. I understand why they can be $17,000 new, and I understand even more why it can be worth more than $17,000 20 plus years later. The Swiss movement inside is designed to outlive you. It can be passed down generation to generation, all without needing a software update, a battery charge, a battery swap, or a Bluetooth connection to work properly. A smartwatch will never get more charming with time, because technology moves at an absolutely ridiculous pace. Spending $17,000 on a smartwatch makes zero sense because the longest the device will be useful, or even work at all, is maybe 5 years if you're lucky and willing to deal with what will feel like prehistoric tech for 2 to 3 of those years. A smartwatch doesn't have the ability to be passed down generation to generation, so positioning it as a luxury fashion accessory was never going to work in the first place, in my opinion at least. Oh, and here's a fun fact to back that up. The $17,000 Apple Watch from 2015 was made officially obsolete by Apple in 2023, and it's pretty much only worth the gold that was used to make the case now. While back in 2015, you could have purchased 2 Rolex Submariners straight from Rolex, brand new, for around $17,000 total, and your investment would already nearly be double by now, only 10 years later. So the shift to health and fitness was a move that needed to happen, and I honestly think it saved the future of smartwatches. I'll also say this. That first generation Apple Watch made so little sense to me, and I stopped working at Apple shortly after its release. So up until I got this Runmefit watch, I knew basically nothing about smartwatches. In terms of features and what they are capable of, my knowledge was limited to how I saw my wife use hers when she wore an Apple Watch pretty regularly for a few years. You'll probably hear me refer to her a lot in this video as our Apple Watch consultant, since she was my main reference point for what a modern Apple Watch is like compared to this Runmefit smartwatch, which I thought would be an interesting thing to look at as well. So let's talk about the features on this Runmefit GTR3, because there's a lot more than I was expecting. And if you don't own a smartwatch and haven't owned one before, drop in the comments what type of features you'd expect from a watch like this. But first, unboxing the watch definitely felt like a tech product instead of a watch, which I think is the vibe a lot of these companies want. I was a little surprised by the screen size as well. It was quite bigger than I expected, but the zinc alloy frame makes this watch incredibly light, and it's only 12.8mm thick, so it's very comfortable. There are 2 buttons on this watch. The crown on the top right pushes in to click and rotates to scroll through menus, which is nice. The bottom button is the power and sleep button. The ammo LED is crazy bright, and it looks really good, and the touchscreen works perfectly. The sensitivity feels similar to something like an iPhone. The silicone strap includes a quick release and about 1,000 holes to find the perfect fit. Connecting the watch via Bluetooth after downloading the Runmefit app was super easy and probably took about 2 minutes total. And with that connection, the watch can receive my texts, calls, and pretty much all notifications, which is nice to have. I do like the standard watch face that it comes with, but the first thing I wanted to do was hit the watch face store and see what else was out there. And there's a wide range of options, and pretty much all of them are free. I really liked what they called the mechanical option, but the seconds hand doesn't sweep like I thought it would, and I was also hoping the bezel on the screen would be rotatable with the crown. It is not. So I ended up going with this simple blue option that I thought looked pretty cool. So here's my next question. For those who do have smartwatches, what kind of watch face do you normally go with? So now on to the health and fitness features. This watch can track your heart rate, stress level, blood oxygen, respiratory rate, MAI, blood glucose, blood pressure, and your sleep. It also has specific workout modes for around 100 different sports and physical activities. That is way more than I expected. But my wife told me her Apple Watch was pretty much able to track all the same stuff. So let me know, if you have a different smartwatch, what does yours track? And is it more or less than this Runmefit? So now a little bit about me. While I'm lucky to be a pretty healthy person, I'm not a particularly physically active one. My day job is done from a computer at home, and I spend a lot of my free time on my other computer making these videos. One of my biggest hobbies is sim racing, and I've worked hard enough at it over time to be able to race in high-level events, usually hours long, on a rig that simulates a lot of what you feel in a real race car. That's probably the most active thing I do on the regular, but that's nothing compared to running, playing a sport, or even going to the gym consistently. So I'm really not the right person to fully test the sports features on this watch. However, I did enjoy the health features themselves. I liked being able to track my heart rate while sim racing, and having the ability to check blood pressure whenever was really nice. My wife also works in the medical field, so I was able to test all of these readings against professional equipment to see if they were accurate, and I'm happy to report that they were. That was genuinely impressive to me, and I immediately started to see the value of a smartwatch, especially for somebody who's very physically active. So I have another set of questions for you guys. Which health and fitness features matter most to you on smartwatches? And how often do you find yourself using them? The feature I was most excited about was sleep tracking, unsurprisingly. I've always thought it was really cool though, and as someone who struggles pretty bad with insomnia, I wanted to see if the sleep insights would help me understand my patterns and improve my sleep. So I wore this thing to sleep the first few nights after getting it. The first thing I learned, the screen always on option, does not make sense. I thought about turning it on when I first got it so I could always see the time on the watch face, but once the lights went out, it became immediately obvious as to why that's not the default setting. Because my goodness, this screen is bright in a dark room. It's like wearing a flashlight on your wrist. Comfort-wise though, it was totally fine. I'm sensitive to comfort while sleeping, so I was nervous about that. And I was pleasantly surprised when I woke up after the first morning. It never bothered me, it never felt bulky, and it didn't move around. The sleep insights were also really cool. I could see my sleep patterns, how much time I spent in REM, and all that fun stuff. And it did help me understand my sleep better. I've even been able to make improvements now that I know, on average, how long it takes me to slip into REM. However, after about 4 days, the sleep tracking stopped being consistent. Sometimes I'd wake up and the app would look like I was never wearing the watch. So the next few nights, I made sure the watch could track things like my blood pressure before I went to bed, just to give it the best chance of also tracking my sleep. And sometimes that took 5 to 10 minutes of frustrating trial and error to get it positioned correctly on my wrist. And I never felt like there's a repeatable rhyme or reason to where it needed to be. It just felt random. At first, this felt like a deal breaker, so I had my wife try it. She got it to read everything, first try, every time. And I literally made her do it like 5 times on both wrists, and she never had a single issue, ever. So maybe it's something about my wrist size or shape, maybe a different strap would fix it. I'm not totally sure, but I don't feel right criticizing the watch for this because it might be a me problem. Still, since then, the sleep tracking has been inconsistent. I love when it works, but for me, that's only been about half the time. What does kind of suck too, is once I have it working properly, it seems to stay working as long as I leave it on my wrist. Most of the time at least. But with the 3 ATM water resistance on this watch, which is very generous, it's actually just rain and hand washing, I have to take it off to shower or swim. And if I didn't have to take it off, I wouldn't, and I doubt my issue would be as bad. I asked my wife about this, and she told me her Apple Watch was waterproof enough that it had a swimming mode under sports, and she can confidently wear it in the shower. That surprised me, and it makes me feel like water resistance should be pretty important on smartwatches. I also thought it was kind of funny how in this image they show the watch submerged in the water, but then in small text to the left, it says how you should very much not be doing what the photo is showing. But let me know in the comments how important water resistance is to you when it comes to smartwatches. But one thing my wife did tell me this Runmefit absolutely destroys the Apple Watch with is battery life. Runmefit claims a 14-day battery life, and honestly, I don't think they're giving themselves enough credit. Sure, it's a 14-day battery life if you wear it every day, use it regularly throughout the day, keep the brightness on high, and sleep with it on. But if you wear this every few days, or only when working out or playing sports, this battery will last you around a month, and I'm not exaggerating at all. I've had it for around 26 days, and I've charged it once. And that's only because it died after a few days of not wearing it, but right when I put in the charger, it immediately woke up and jumped to 75% battery. Just insane. I expected battery life more like an iPhone. Definitely not this. And it can get to a full charge in under an hour. Easy. That was a really cool surprise. If you have a smartwatch, is this impressive? How long does your battery last? And before I get to my conclusion and how I ended up feeling about smartwatches after a month with this thing, let's talk a little bit about the wearing experience and where I think this modern smartwatch fits in the fashion world. This watch did get me curious about other smartwatches. I started noticing them more out in the wild and realizing how many people actually prefer them. I also love those "what watch are you wearing" TikToks that places like car dealerships do, if you guys have seen those. And I started to notice how many smartwatches show up on those too. And even more interesting to me, smartwatch owners seem to have more pride, or insecurity, I'll leave that part up to you, about their watches than classic watch owners do. A lot of the times, the smartwatch owners in these videos would tack on the price or a few features, while the classic watch guys would just say the make and model, and if you know, you know. But this all got me curious, so I headed over to Amazon and Google to look at some more smartwatches. And here's how it went. There are too many of these things. Too much variety, while all looking the same. I am confused. The pricing varies so much, it's insane. From like $15 for a questionable Amazon one to thousands for companies like Tag Heuer, who I honestly didn't even know was in the smartwatch game like that. Why is the Garmin one half the price of a Tudor BB58? I thought Garmin was the GPS company. What on earth is a Withings? And why is it trying to look like a real watch? Oh no, they got Citizen. Man, talk about boring and uninspired. Oh, Timex too. Well, isn't that the Dodge Viper logo? What? Yeah, it is. And this is not a Dodge watch. What the oh, okay. So in conclusion, I learned nothing. I came away with more questions than answers. But here's what I will say about my wearing experience, and I don't think it would have been much different with any of these other smartwatches I just looked at here. When I'm reviewing a watch or doing an in-depth look on the channel, I like to wear it out around my friends and strangers and see if it gets any comments or compliments. I didn't really do that with this watch. Not nearly as often at least. And the reason is simple. I'm not going to pass up the opportunity to wear a cool watch around my friends. And for me, that's not a smartwatch. However, I am the type of watch-obsessed weirdo who wears a watch around the house basically all the time. I just don't feel right without something on my wrist, so this Runmefit did get plenty of wrist time at home. And honestly, I did love having all the features. I would totally wear this thing out more if I could pull off the whole 2 watches on one wrist look, or the 1 watch on each wrist look, but I'm not that cool or famous. It also does seem like the more famous you get, the more watches you're allowed to wear at once, so we'll see. But it's not like I'm embarrassed to wear this watch. I don't think it looks bad at all. I just don't like it enough to substitute it for a classic watch when I'm around people. And that's what I'm most curious about with you all, and what I'm most excited to talk about. If you own a smartwatch, how often do you wear it instead of a classic watch? Or is there a smartwatch out there that you think is attractive enough to actually make your normal rotation? Also, I want to know this. How many of you own multiple smartwatches? Is this the kind of thing that people are collecting like we do classic watches, or do you only have one? Because honestly, even if I could easily afford something like that tag, which was pretty attractive for a smartwatch, I still don't know if it would make my rotation. It just isn't the same for me. But maybe I'm the weird one. That's why I'm so excited to talk about this. I can also say, I did love wearing this thing while sim racing. If I went to the gym regularly, I would absolutely wear this every time. When I took my dogs on long walks, I made sure to wear it. Again, I'm not embarrassed to wear it out. My lifestyle just doesn't include many healthy or super active things when I do go out. So I didn't end up wearing it as often as I could have. I could totally see a version of my routine or my past life where I would all the time, and I'd enjoy it, and I do think it looks good on wrist at the end of the day. I want to thank Runmefit again for sending the GTR3 to the channel, and I would recommend this to anyone who enjoys smartwatches. The health and fitness features are really cool, and they were more useful than I expected for someone with my lifestyle. The design is attractive, and it's easily the most comfortable watch I own, and the battery life, again, ridiculously good. Unless your sport of choice is swimming or scuba diving, I think this is a great choice for a smartwatch. I can also say my wife, our Apple Watch consultant, was impressed too. And while the size of this specific one was too big for her wrist, she did say there were smaller models in their lineup that she would consider trying instead of the Apple Watch, mainly because of the lower price on the Runmefit. Which I haven't even mentioned yet, and that is my favorite thing about these Runmefit watches. The value is impressive for the quality and features, especially after looking at a bunch of other ones. The GTR3 is currently on sale 50% off for only $84, and you guys can also use the code SWC for an additional 18% off on your purchase. Thank you to Runmefit for providing that code, exclusive to our channel, to get you guys a bigger discount. I'll leave this watch and a few other of my favorite pieces from their collection linked in the description below. And that's going to do it for the first edition of Let's Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm excited to talk watches in the comments with all of you, and I can't wait to see your answers. If you enjoyed the smartwatch content, I'm open to more of this in the future, but I would say the plan is to shift back to classic watches, if that's okay with all of you. Still though, it was fun to look at this side of the watch world. I've already learned a lot, and I know I'm going to learn a lot more from you guys in the comments, like I always do. Feel free to throw out future ideas for this series as well. I would love to do more of these soon. It's always so much fun getting to chat with you all. Thanks again so much for getting this channel past 2,500 subscribers. And don't forget to check out my most recent video, part 2 of my 2026 AliExpress brand guide, where you can enter my 2,500 subscriber watch giveaway. The winner will be announced in part 3, so get ready for that soon, plus an in-depth look at one of the AliExpress 2025 watches of the year in the very near future. But until then, Shameless Watch Collector, signing out. And always remember, it's not that serious.